Hola, Dr. Aisha Dennis, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This week, I want to talk to parents who may feel as though they haven't done enough for their children as of yet to prepare them for the world that they will inherit. What does that mean? Are you a parent who is concerned that you haven't done enough to make sure that your child is prepared for the world that they'll be stepping into in the next 5 to 10 years? Let me give you a suggestion. Start teaching them Spanish. Now, we recently had an election in the United States, and not to introduce anything political, but if you look at the data suggests the largest growing population of voters are Latinos. What does that mean? That means that politicians had to reach out to Latino voters by way of their own media. And so, what better way to do that than to speak the language that that community speaks? Now, your child may not grow up to be a politician, but they will certainly have a need for Spanish in their future. So let me give you some tips on why it's important to start early. Tip number one, starting most things early is beneficial. Let me give you some examples. Children who read early are confident readers and have a stronger reading comprehension level. What else do you need to do to start early? Investing. Investing early has also been shown to be beneficial. We always tell people the earlier you start, the more money that you're able to earn because you have a longer amount of time. Well, there's no difference with learning Spanish. Starting early matters. While your child's brain is still developing, it's important to take advantage of the plasticity that their brain has. What does this mean? It means that your child is able to acquire a language easier at a younger age than it is for them to acquire it at a later age. Now, that isn't to say that your child cannot become bilingual in Spanish at a later age, but it will be a little bit more challenging because there are more competing factors. Number one, they'll be going to school predominantly with English-speaking students. Most of their day will be at school, so they will not have the opportunity to practice the language that you want to introduce. And especially if it's not your native language, it's more challenging to encourage your child to speak the language at home unless you have a plan in place. Another reason to start learning Spanish early is to take advantage of developing a native-like accent. Children who start to learn Spanish early can develop a native-like accent up until around the age of puberty, more or less. So that's somewhere between the ages of 10 and 12. If you're able to start teaching your child Spanish when they're younger, they have at least 10 years of exposure to the language before they will have to be concerned about potentially losing the ability to mimic a native speaker. The third reason to start learning early is to maximize their memorization skills. So it is really important to introduce Spanish at a young age because it gives your child the opportunity to build their strength in memorization. By learning Spanish and English at the same time, they're able to develop their fluency in vocabulary faster and stronger because now they're learning 2 words for the meaning of an item instead of 1. I hope those tips help you. And before I go, I wanted to leave you with some actionable items that you can do starting today to help your child start speaking Spanish immediately. So let's pick a popular time of the day that you want to introduce Spanish to your child. What better time is that than mealtime? So let me give you 5 phrases that you can use today with your child in Spanish to help them start to get accustomed to hearing the language and start responding to you. So tip number 1 is ¿Tienes hambre? ¿Tienes hambre? Are you hungry? If you want to know if your child is ready to eat, you can ask them, ¿Tienes hambre? Tip number 2, ¿Tienes sed? ¿Tienes sed? ¿Tienes sed means are you thirsty? So not only can you ask them, ¿Tienes hambre? You can also ask them, ¿Tienes sed? Next, you can ask your child, tip number 3, ¿Te gusta? ¿Te gusta? ¿Te gusta? Do you like it? This is another expression that you can use with your child. If you notice, when you're asking a question to your child, your voice goes up at the end of the question. So instead of saying te gusta, which means you like, you can say te gusta, which means do you like? Te gusta? Now, once they start eating and you want them to not hold the food in their mouth, you can say mastica, mastica, chew, mastica. If they're very young and you're feeding them and they really want to eat, you can say to them, cuidado, está caliente, cuidado, está caliente. Be careful, it's hot. Be careful, it's hot. So let's go over the 5 expressions. We have, ¿tienes hambre? ¿Tienes sed? ¿Te gusta? Mastica. Cuidado, está caliente. Use those 5 expressions this week with your child and let me know how it goes. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Adios!